Hello, everyone. I'm certified natural healthcare practitioner Erin Thole, and today I'm here again with Colton Thayer from Lab. And today we are talking about blood sugar, insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, diabetes, all those fun things that we work with quite a bit. Hi, Colton. How you doing?
Doing good, Erin. Good morning. Had my coffee. I'm all ready to go.
You're all
So
revved
let's
up.
dive into this. It's a big one. It's a big
It
one.
it is. It is. And it's something that affects so many people, and so many people are struggling with thinking that, like, I'm watching my diet, I'm doing all the things, I'm staying away from sugars, and things like that. But there's still, when I look at their food journals, I'm like, yeah, but you're not, like there's all these hidden sugars in so many things, or things that spike people's blood sugar unknowingly. If you're insulin resistant, it's like that, that insulin is making the call to the cell and saying, hey, pick up the phone or open the door, let me in. And the insulin has to, once the cell is resistant, has to make that call or knock on that door like 100 times before the cell will
Mhm.
actually open up and let the insulin in so it can do the job. Same thing with glucose and things like that. So just cutting out, switching over to Diet Coke or whatever, isn't cutting out your afternoon candy bar, isn't really going to do the trick to get that cell to be, insulin sensitive. So we want cells that are insulin sensitive, meaning they know that insulin is there on that first knock. They open the door instead of on the 100th knock, which is very, very common with insulin resistance. And when people have like hypoglycemia or hyperglycemia and things like that, that's just kind of leading into these other metabolic syndrome type issues. And it's kind of seen as, oh, I just need to eat every couple hours and I'm fine, but you're not allowing your insulin level to like come back down to its resting point. Like,
Right.
none of your hormones want to continue to climb, or to stay flatline. Like, our hormones do this kind of thing throughout the day. So if that insulin isn't allowed to, when you eat, rise and then come back down to its natural resting point about 4-ish hours later, so that glycogen can release from the liver, which is that like get it out and burn energy creating hormone that just makes the liver function, makes you feel good in your body and things like that. We're constantly eating, we're never allowing that glycogen to burn. The liver becomes a couch potato. And
You
we
get fat.
just, what was that?
You get fat.
And you get fat. Yeah, exactly. And
Fat,
tired, and
yeah.
you don't sleep as well. And then you have other hormonal issues. And, like, nobody comes to us and is like, I have diabetes. That's it.
No.
Just that. Like, it's, I have diabetes
Mm.
like, it's a laundry list of issues. So diet is a big thing that we need to fix, making sure that you're not eating literally all day long, because it's not good for your liver, it's not good for your digestive system, it's not good for your energy levels, it's not good for your hormones, your insulin levels. If you're eating every couple hours, that insulin is continuing to climb. Like, that's a really great way to create insulin resistance type issues. And I teach people about that a lot when we talk about the hormone leptin and things of that nature, and like how to balance out all of your hormones, your leptin, your insulin, your thyroid hormones. All of these things are really interwoven together, and it really all comes down to the diet, what you're eating, all of those good things. I have a nifty little table that I want to share with you, if that is okay, so that we can kind of look at, these HbA1c numbers. A lot of people have some misconceptions about the HbA1c numbers, about the glucose numbers, and what they actually mean. So I just want to share this so that people can kind of see. Let's talk through this here a little bit. So if we scroll down here, so these are functional ranges, which are proven scientifically to be where the body works optimally. So as you can see, I have like this grading system. I have your glucose numbers. I have your HbA1c. Some people just call it A1C number. And then I have some symptoms listed over here that can potentially correlate with what this HbA1c number and glucose number is at. So as you can see, 4.2, 4.5, like this is where we want to be. Our glucose should be at 75, 80, somewhere in there. Slows down aging, you sleep really well, you feel good in your body, your hormones are balanced, you're not as inflamed. You know, so many people live by this model in the US that I get sick, I get old, I die. Like that last half of my life is just crap. Like it just is painful and inflammatory and, you know, just a lot of things I'm trying to navigate all the time. And that's not how nature intended it. You know, we are part of nature. We are animals by design. So our body's not here to punish us. It's not here to, you know, devil out all this inflammatory conditions and disease and things like that. Like getting all these lifestyle conditions is not a natural process. It's a consequence of poor lifestyle choices, whether you know you're making them or not. You know, you only know what you know.
Right.
And when you know better, you do better. So what we're trying to help people do is do better by educating them and things like that through these videos. So these lifestyle conditions, which we're starting to see such a tremendous rise and like epidemics of just diabetes and blood pressure issues and cholesterol issues and fatigue and hormonal issues and, you know, joint conditions, autoimmune conditions, digestive issues, like cancer, all these things. Like the vast majority of these are lifestyle conditions, like things that we are unknowingly, or for some people knowingly, and they just don't care, doing to themselves, you know? So we're here to help you and educate you and help you to literally take back your health and turn these things around. The more you know, the better you do. So as we look at these HbA1c numbers go up, diabetes is typically diagnosed at 6% or higher. Anything above 6% is considered diabetes.
So is that saying, sorry to cut you off, but is that saying like 6% of your blood is sugar? Is that what?
No, good question. So your HbA1c number, this is a fantastic point to bring up. Thank you. Is an accumulation of sticky sugars in the blood over a 3-month period of time.
Okay.
So a lot of people will use this excuse where they'll be like, oh, but I ate a donut the day before, so that's why my HbA1c number came back high the next day. No. You've been eating way too much sugar for at least 3 months. Probably, if it's at 6%, let's be honest, you've been eating way too much sugar for way more than 3 months for it to be that high. So either knowingly or unknowingly, you know, oftentimes keeping a food journal and knowing what you're looking for, like what breaks down as sugars in the body, you know, all of your carbs, obviously any sugar that you eat, like all that stuff is going to turn into a simple sugar pretty quickly. So that's why, you know, some people even getting things out, like if it's like a really extreme, you know, kind of case, not necessarily just cutting down on the grains and the beans and those processed foods that spike that insulin level, but cutting them out completely. And for some people, we even need to cut out like higher sugar fruits and higher carb vegetables for a period of time until we can get this under control, especially if your HbA1c numbers are, you know, 8 or in the 7 range or something like that. And I want to point out these symptoms that correlate with those things, you know? So the higher my HbA1c levels go, the more likely I am to have other inflammatory conditions, heart conditions, circulatory issues, issues with my vision, issues with my kidneys, erectile dysfunction, weight issues, accelerated aging. You can use all the night creams, all the skin creams, all the, gadgets that you want to in the world to like keep yourself young. But youth starts from the inside. Your body is making itself off of what you put into it, how well you're hydrated, the food that you eat, all of those things. So if you're not treating your body well internally, it's not going to reward you, externally in,
You are what you eat, right?
Exactly. You are what you eat. So for a lot of people, because people are vain, myself included, like nobody wants to get old. Nobody wants to look old. We want to stay forever young. And so for a lot of people, the neuropathy, the kidney issues, the heart issues, yeah, sure, that sucks. But you're telling me that if I get my blood sugar levels under control and I eat healthy, my skin will look better and I'll look healthier and the wrinkles might start to go away. Then they, like that's the motivator. But who cares? Whatever works. We all want to look good. So no judgment there by any stretch of the imagination. But it's just interesting to me how many issues come about just by eating way too much sugar. Like look at this.
What about these? Are these good for me?
Oh yeah, those are fine. Outside of everything else, Mike and Ike's are the only thing that will not spike your blood sugar.
Okay, good. We're safe. We're kidding about that.
I mean, how much sugar is in those things? What is a serving, first of all?
Serving is 16 pieces.
16, who is going to eat just 16 pieces?
Oh no, I eat the whole box.
You eat the whole damn box. Yeah, exactly. So
I don't get them anymore. I just got them for this video.
Well, yeah, I know. Disclaimer, I'm not actually going to eat these. How much sugar, how many grams of sugar in 16?
What's your guess?
23.
18, but it's still higher. It's higher than 1 gram per Mike and Ike, which is ridiculous.
That is true. So if there's
4.5 servings in here.
4 grams of sugar is 1 teaspoon. Okay. So in 16 Mike and Ike's, that is 4.5 teaspoons of sugar.
Spoonful of sugar.
More than a spoonful of sugar. It's like 2 spoonfuls of sugar. Like that's a substantial amount. And like we said, nobody's eating 16 Mike and Ike's. You're going to eat the box.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then not to mention all the other stuff that's in there, the wax, the
food dyes, type
of
sugar it is. Is there high fructose corn syrup in it?
Corn syrup, modified food starch, so corn syrup and sugar.
Okay. So types of sugar that are highly processed, highly addictive, highly inflammatory, and release way more insulin than eating, like, let's say, an apple that might have the same, amount of grams of sugar, but since it's a natural sugar that your body processes a lot better, and it has, the hydration level and the enzymes and all those other things in it, your body isn't going to spike that insulin nearly as high as it is when we're eating something super processed like that.
Right, because this is kind of just like free-based sugar, right? Like versus from fruit, it's like it's bound in the fiber. It's it's got the hydration, it's got the enzymes to break it down. This is just like it's crack, right? So when we're looking at things like diabetes, when we're looking at insulin resistance, so many people don't even know they have it, right? Like I was looking at just the stats this morning. 1 in 10 Americans are diabetic. 1/5 of the diabetics don't know they have it. 1/3 of Americans have diabetes. 80% don't know they have it, right? So like, what do you do to even like figure out, like, do I have it? Do I have blood sugar issues? Like, how do you even figure that out?
Well, I would say get your HbA1c level tested first and foremost, because that's a surefire way to like yay or nay, you know. If you don't want to do that, just kind of going off of symptoms, like how you feel, can kind of give you a general idea, you know, like, are you overweight? Do you crave sugar? Do you have to eat every couple of hours, or else you feel like you're going to rip someone's head off, or you're starving to death? Are you generally tired, fatigued? Do you get fatigued after you eat? That's another thing. If you are eating and then you feel tired within, you know, an hour or so later or less, you're more than likely not utilizing your sugars well. You're eating too much sugar. Even if you just ate, you know, a sweet potato and a steak or something like that, that sweet potato might be too much sugar for you at this point in time. You know, it depends on where you're at. Like, you have to meet your body where you're at. Does that mean that you can never have a sweet potato ever again? No. Once we get your numbers under control, we get your body back in balance, and that cell membrane is opening the door to let the insulin in when it calls, then, you know, we can start to incorporate some of those starches back in. But again, you have to meet your body where you're at. The other thing is, and I've talked about this, I think almost in every single video, but it's so foundational, is that cell membrane, and making sure that cell membrane is soft and pliable and permeable, so that nutrients, hormones, you know, all of these chemical reactions that are natural and normal and healthy in the body can do their job, and toxins can get out of the cells. If your cell membrane is a car tire, nothing's getting in and nothing's getting out. So one of the most foundational ways to help to alleviate and kind of speed up the process of getting your blood sugar levels under control, your HbA1c level under control, insulin under control, basically anything, you know, inflammation levels under control, is to do that essential fatty acid test, where we can see where your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is at. If you're anywhere above 3-to-1, we want to be at 3-to-1 or lower. The closer we are to 1-to-1, the better, because those omega-3s are anti-inflammatory. Omega-6s are highly inflammatory. And at this point in the game, with our food supply, our topsoil being gone, just how food is raised and grown and all those things in the US at this point in time, you really can't out eat an omega status, you know, even if you're eating wild caught fish a couple times a week and stuff like that. I test people all the time where they eat a relatively clean diet. I'll use myself as an example. The first time I tested my HbA1c number, or I'm sorry, not my HbA1c, my omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, I was like offended by my results, because I was at 9-to-1, and I was like, I eat super clean. I'm a practitioner. Like, I do all these things. I take a fish oil, you know, how am I out of balance? And, you know, I wasn't taking the right, you know, fish oil. Now we do the balance oil and stuff like that, which we've talked about in other videos, but getting that cell membrane nice and healthy, by getting those numbers into balance, which you do through getting, you know, you get that cell membrane healthy by getting that omega-6 to 3 ratio in balance, will make this stuff that we're looking at, you know, here with our little chart, so much better, so much more quickly. It's really a foundational thing, you know? So
it really is.
Kind of want to throw that out there to people too, so that they're aware of the foundational things that you then build off of, you know, getting that omega status in balance, cleaning up your diet, and then kind of fine tuning some things from there. You know, a lot of times I'll have people do a micronutrient panel as well. And it's always very interesting to see people that have blood sugar issues, because that test will actually tell you if you have glucose and insulin issues as well. And so if we see that on there, or if we already know that their HbA1c number is all jacked up, we'll typically see like chromium is out of balance. They're deficient in chromium. They're deficient in their B vitamins, things that help to, you know, get that sugar to function better within the body and within the cell. So we need those nutrients. We need those those minerals to be balanced. We need those B vitamins to be balanced in order for our body to utilize food appropriately. So that's why I like to do the tests, to really see what's going on in somebody's body so that we can really figure out exactly what they need, what they don't need, like put all the pieces of the puzzle together. Okay, your omega status is all jacked up, your HbA1c level is off, you have high blood sugar, you know, these are your vitamins and minerals that are off, and you have all these other, you know, health conditions, and how does that correlate to these other things as well? So we can really create a cohesive plan for somebody that is actually going to get them healthy, get them feeling better, reaching their health goals, all of that stuff. Because we're really here to just, and I think we're thinking about actually naming the show Taking Back Your Health, you know, because we're doing all of these talks on, you know, educating people on how to actually do that, how to take back your health. And this is one of the biggest ways, is by learning what's under the hood, knowing what's exactly going on in your body. So
that's the goal, right? Figure out what's the big picture, right? What are all the measurables saying? What are my symptoms telling me, right? You want to feel better, but you want to see it better on the labs too, right? So with diabetes, switch the picture. With diabetes, right? There's so many things that it can cause, right? Like we were talking about, just the laundry list of conditions that we see pop up, right? CKD, vision issues, blood vessel damage, some issues maybe with cholesterol, neuropathy, infections, especially candida, right? Candida feeds off candy and sugar, right? And then some GI issues we were talking, heart disease, right? So like there's so many things that we want to just address, but I think we covered a lot of stuff. So how is it measured? We covered some of the stages of it, kind of looking at what's your grade? Are you A, B, C, D, E, F? What else should we cover here?
So what about artificial sweeteners? You know, like there's all these zero sugar this, diet that, you know, all that.
The logical alternatives.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, oh, I can't have my sugar, so I'll just switch over to this other thing over here. But there's a massive amount of issues with those things too. You know, there are alternatives, you know, stevia is great. You can use erythritol, xylitol, things like that, that are actually proven to be somewhat beneficial in a lot of cases, especially stevia, to like the microbiome of the gut and things like that. Xylitol is an antibacterial, which is why it's used in a lot of like natural gums, mouthwashes, things like that, toothpaste, because it'll kill bacteria in your mouth, you know, so, but it's also sweet. So, you know, there are alternatives, monk fruit, things of that nature that a person can use, that are like kind of like zero sugar, you know, net grams and things like that. They're more like sugar alcohols and whatnot. But you can also use, you know, like coconut nectar, coconut sugar, things like that, that has sugar in it, but it also has enzymes and minerals and things of that nature for, you know, if you're baking and things like that. But the artificial sweeteners, I mean,
with your Diet Coke, right? Aspartame. I was drinking those all the time, right? Tastes better, right? Doesn't spike your blood sugar. Aspartame, the artificial sweetener, when it hits 86 degrees, turns into formaldehyde, which is a carcinogen. So you're, you know, embalming yourself when you drink it, right? Because, you know, you could keep it in the fridge all day long, but the second it touches your lips, 98.6 degrees, baby, not good.
Exactly.
You know? What are some of the other bad ones, like saccharin, which is like, I believe, sweet and low, but there's other ones too, right?
Yeah, saccharin, sucralose. You know, aspartame has some different names now. They've like trademarked some different names to try to like trick people. So I know for a while amino sweet was one of them, but I think people caught on to that. So they've like renamed it like a million times. What was that?
Well, I thought there was one like acesulfame potassium or sulfate or something.
Yeah. something like that. Yeah. So they're starting to use like the chemical word for it now instead of like the patented, trademark name and things like that, just to kind of, there's all these like tricks, the food industry they're crafty. Like they're not trying to be, forthright and honest with people about what are in their products, because they're there to sell, they're there to make a buck and stuff like that. So, yeah, there's so many artificial sweeteners now that you just kind of have to watch out for, the like anything that's labeled as diet, zero sugar, things like that are more than likely not going to be a good thing for you. Look on the package. If it's telling you that the sweetener is, the list of good is way shorter than the list of bad. So sometimes that's kind of the way to go, is look for the good instead of the bad, because the bad, you're just going to be like overwhelmed. So if you're looking for stevia, erythritol, monk fruit, xylitol, those 4 are the main ones. If that's the sweetener in it, you're good to go. If it's something that you're finding like in a keto section, of the grocery store or something like that, those are more than likely going to use one of those 4 or a combination of those 4 of sweeteners for like more of a natural, kind of sweetened product, as opposed to something that's just kind of by, Nestle or something like that, some other big, huge name company.
Yeah. Gosh, just there's so much you got to avoid, and you just got to always think. It's like if there was like an app, you could just like scan something and be like, boom, good or bad, has this, has that, right? There's so much you got to keep track of, and that's why it's so important just to get this info out, make it as easy as possible. Just
wasn't there an app that you found, the Yuka,
Yuka. I haven't used it much, just because I kind of know what to look for. But
well, yeah, exactly. But doesn't it, like, you can scan something and then it gives you kind of like a grade?
yeah, yeah, I think I was scanning my Celsius and it said like not super good. Like,
Dang it, don't drink that. I think it's because of the sucralose in those, right?
I think so.
And I think it has synthetic B vitamins, yeah? And a lot
Yep,
of caffeine.
definitely. Yep. And like, obviously there's worse stuff out there. You scan a Red Bull, it doesn't even scan.
Well,
It's like, you should know better.
yeah. Shame on you. Yeah, so that app is YUKA, Yuka.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Sounds
so that, yeah, you can kind of scan products and kind of see what the grade is on them, which I think is a fantastic idea. Too bad you didn't patent that first.
yeah, here.
Oh
Can you
yeah,
that?
see, then it gives you the score out of 100.
Right? It's like 39 out of 100 additives, contains additives to avoid hazardous. One thing that was hazardous and one that was no risk. So yeah, it's definitely something like that could be helpful. Yep. I scanned a Zoa energy drink, also 39, had 2 hazardous. So like that would be just like a good tool. Like, hey, I'm shopping. I don't have time to look at every freaking label because hey, you look at this, that's like 50 things and I can't read like 5 of them. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
If you can't pronounce what's in it, it probably isn't real.
Right.
You probably avoid it. Yeah. So I think that app will be really helpful to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously there's going to be some hiccups and stuff like that with that too, because I think it lists on there, like, it gives you a score, doesn't it, for like saturated fat and things like that. Like, fat isn't bad. And if it's a saturated fat that's in like coconut oil, well, that's actually going to be super beneficial, for your gut, for your heart, for like literally your brain, everything. So we kind of have to look at like the surrounding context basically of each food. But I think that's a fantastic way to just kind of learn more about food and what's in packaged products, and then really just going back to shopping the perimeter of the grocery store. You don't need all the garbage in the middle. Like, just go around and get your produce, get your meats, you know, maybe go in, get a little bone broth or something like that in the center. Like, you don't need a bunch of stuff out of the middle. Like, the majority of your cart should be from that perimeter.
Right.
The
And really take it a step further, get a garden, grow your own stuff, right? Then you know what's in it, right?
True. Yeah. Go to the farmer's market. Like, there's a lot of different ways to, you know, get cleaner and cleaner and cleaner, but you have to start somewhere. So get the app, start shopping the perimeter of the grocery store, keep it basic, go back to the basics. Where's my meat, veggies, fruit, get your healthy fats in there, you know, your olive oil, your avocado, your coconut oil, things of that nature. You're golden. So,
You're golden.
yeah.
You're golden. So really what I'm getting from this whole diabetes thing is diet. What you put in is what you're going to get out, right? You got to reset the body, right? You got to hit the reset button, turn diabetes into livabetes, and let's get the body just running right. But without the right foods, without the right minerals, without the right essential fatty acids, we're not going to get very far, right? It's
Exactly.
just, it really comes down to that. And then I guess diving into like kind of how we address it at Way Labs, we use herbs to basically support the organ systems that help with insulin sensitivity, secreting insulin, supporting the liver, supporting basically just all the things that kind of get messed up and just nourish them. Right. And then obviously with diabetes, like there's so many things that can be going on. There's so many different other conditions that come with it. There's really not one way to address it, right? If you got kidneys, we'll work on that. If you got heart issues, we'll work on that, right? So it's really, we got to tailor it specifically to the individual. But you can't get very far. Again, I'm going to just say it again. Can't get very far without working on the basics, the foundational.
For sure. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I really like about Way Labs is all of the nourishing herbs and things like that, because these organs, your pancreas, your liver, your kidneys, like your nervous system, your hormones, everything has just been beat up. You know, once you have diabetes, everything is just beat up in your body. And so you have to really like revitalize and rebuild those organs so that you can thrive and you get better faster. And you actually feel good in your body, you know? So we want to make the changes, kind of like put out the fire and then bring in the construction crew and rebuild is basically what we want to do. So that is our focus. That's our game plan for pretty much every client, is to help them eradicate the situation that they're currently faced with, but then also make sure that we're rebuilding the system so that they're never going to be faced with that again, and giving them the tools to really then know their body and know what their body needs and what they as an individual react to and don't react to, because everyone's a little bit different, you know? So that's why we take such a personalized touch and approach, and why we spend so much time with each client is because we need to know like the ins and outs, what makes your body tick. So we can create that really fine-tuned protocol.
Right. And just make you self-sustaining.
Yeah.
Let you run your own show.
Work ourselves out of a job eventually. Yeah. Once you're rocking and rolling and feeling great and you know what works for your body and you're trusting your intuition and what your body needs and what it doesn't need, and you feel good, then you don't need us anymore. So that's basically
you just call to say hi. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I want to hear. I want to hear you're doing good. Life's good. You're healthy, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Sure. Well, awesome. I think we covered a lot. There's a bunch more we can talk about. But I think this is a great base, right? Good foundational information.
We'll come back to these. And if you guys need, you have any questions, concerns, I'm also going to put my Pinterest recipe page in the notes below this video. There's over 1,000, well over 1,000 recipes on that page. They're all, you know, healthy recipes where they're all gluten-free. The majority of them are dairy-free. There's some autoimmune paleo protocols on there. There's you know, low histamine, there's whatever floats your boat, you're going to find it like in there from like a healthy standpoint. It's the link that all my clients get to kind of give them some ideas and fun stuff with their diet, because we don't want food to be boring. Food is an emotional thing. You know, we celebrate with it, we comfort with it, we mourn with it. Like we do all these things emotionally around food. So we're not trying to make your food boring or put you in a box where you're like, I'm just going to eat chicken and broccoli for the rest of my life. Like nobody's going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Like I like desserts just as much as the next person. So what we're doing is learning how to make those healthy foods in a different way. So how can I eat pizza? How can I eat burgers? How can I eat lasagna? You know, how can I eat the Christmas cookies and the pie and all these other things? But like within the parameters of what makes my body sing, what makes my body happy, not you know, having all these cheat days and stuff like that, because that's not in the long run going to help you.
You don't want that. And one thing I want to add is food doesn't need to be boring. And I want to add on that when you get more fresh, like raw, nutritious tomatoes, they taste better. When you get fresh cucumbers, they don't just taste like water,
Yeah.
right? So like the closer you get to the source, the fresher you get. Not only is it healthier, but it'll taste better.
Yeah.
So
and your palate is going to change too. Like if you've been eating a lot of processed foods, a lot of things with chemicals and things like that, a lot of the aspartame, the diet, the sugar-free, all that stuff, your taste buds are like eroded essentially. And you're addicted to those chemicals. Like that's part of the game.
yeah, they're literally basically drugs, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So once you clean up your palate, you like bite into an apple and you're like, oh, wow, like this tastes so much better than it did, you know, a month ago when I tried this, you know, because your taste buds are cleaned up and they're more attuned to different flavors and tastes and things like that, the way that they're supposed to be. So it's a process. Exactly. Nobody starts at the end. Like everyone has to start at the beginning and then you work yourself through. So little changes end up being big changes over the long haul. So look for that link. Let us know questions. If you want to book a consultation with myself or Colton, we both offer free consultations. You can go to my website, erinthole.com, or email me at thole.erin@gmail.com. thole.erin@gmail.com. Yep. And you can request a free consultation with me, and then you can call Colton and he will rattle off his phone number for you real quick.
You could call me, and if you wanted to, the number is 612-808-9235. I'd be happy to help out. And then, yeah, I think that'll do it. It's a Friday.
Yay, happy Friday.
Friday.
Right. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Perfect. See you later.
Bye.